Skimmy. There it is! As you're going to have to stop her. John dead, John gone. Harry with the culling, but it's just not enough damage. He needs to make a play right now. Oh, they're all low. They're all joined together. That's one, that's two. A double kill for him. A triple. Emperor's divide onto Johnny. Oh my god!
TGIF. Thank God it's a Friday. First Friday of the LCO. It is going to be day 5 of the games as well. And today there might be a chance for one of these untoppled teams to finally get toppled, but who knows? Who cares? And look, I guess a lot of you at home probably do care. But look, we had a big day on the second day this week of some crazy, crazy games. So let's have a quick look back before we delve into today's action.
Bot lane where he didn't pick up a kill. But you know, he's still trading and oh, that might be enough. Fate sealed indeed, and Amelg also chiming in. That is fantastic for Legacy. Wow, how they've turned that on its head once, and now Shiftfrit will have his turn. The bot laners, they're so low. Look down, look down. Thomas Shen dodges, Isaiah dodges, and everyone. Ultimate through from Syndra connection. We need a death sentence to hit here. Wait, he dodges it. He's dodged it with the portal, but I don't think he's got enough damage, does he? Yes, he does. Be a turning point for Chiefs. They need to win this fight, but Praedith is so uncontested over the wall, just putting in that much damage that Rel gets traded down regardless. Chaz flashes through, gets the stun, and Boma is doing his best, but as you've said already, Juice, there is just no damage for the Chiefs, and that might well be the penta that we will.
And there you have it. We finally got to see a pentakill here in the LCO. LCO? It's our LCO.
LCL, mate.
LCLs. You know, we love owls. We love flying away, and we're all night owls over here, of course. Although it is early in the afternoon. I am joined, of course, by the Skim Master and the Rust Master to my left here. So, boys, how you doing? Skimmy, tell me first.
Well, look, mate, it's been a hot minute since me and Rusty have been on the same screen together, getting it done. You know, some would call us the A-team because we did cast the OPL finals about 6 months ago. We've come back. We're doing it again. We're running it back. And look, you know, it's not only Jews that can bring content. It's what we're trying to get at here. So, you know, Jews, I know you're watching. Send us a selfie angle like this. Give me some content, and we'll bring you the hype, mate.
Some would call us the A-team, Skibby. I think we would call us the A-team because the two people that aren't on today definitely called us the B team, and maybe they didn't think it through, but we'll see how we go today, Skibby, because you're right, it has been a while. It's been like 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Look, I'll be here for both of them, so I guess I can be the judge, and you guys can face off against that. But look, before we get into today's action, we have to have a quick look at the standings as well to see where all the teams are currently sitting going into day 5 of games. And as mentioned, look, Peace and Pentanet still up the top there, 4-0. And Legacy, of all teams, still looking for that wooden spoon on 0-4, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, they are the wooden spoon team right now. If the split continues the way that it's going, you know, they maybe not expected to be below Gravitas and Mammoth when you look at the predictions coming into this split as well. And, you know, the other big surprise for me, while we're looking at the bottom half of the table here, is the Direwolves, who are stuck down there at 1-3 as well, looking very out of sorts.
Yeah, it's a big day actually for a lot of these teams so far, as Peace and Pentanet, no surprise that they have looked like the best team, so fully deserving of their 4-0 record right now. For Order, a big chance for them also to see how they stack up against the likes of the top 3 and if they can justify that position. And for me personally, I think I'm really excited about Direwolves taking on Legacy. Yes, Legacy have yet to get a win. Direwolves have had their struggles as well, but both teams have had these fantastic early games, and it seems to capitulate, kind of breaks down come mid to late game with a few individual mistakes. So really keen to see sort of the narratives break between what are these initial standings.
Yeah, and look, I'm really excited to see where Chiefs end up as well, sitting 2-2 on the table. We've seen a couple of really good games from them, but now, of course, they've managed to take on a couple of the Titans. So they've got a lot of the harder games out of the way, and then going into next week, it could even change. But look, let's have a quick look back at a couple of the multi-kills from the LCO so far. Of course, there has been 4 games per team, and we have seen some damn good frags coming out.
Yeah, we definitely have. You know, so far we've had the pentakill from Praedith that will no doubt be in here towards the end as well. 2 quads and a whole boatload of triple kills. And with the games being at about 30 minutes average game time, it's been fairly fast, even considering that. There's been a lot of high-paced, hectic action throughout the LCO so far.
Certainly has. Obviously, this one here, major grief, one that Puma will be having nightmares over for many weeks to come. But You know, these are the multi-kills that you love to see, and you know, the majority of them are coming from these AD carries. Another one here from Predator. He seems to sort of soak up the majority of the montages at the moment, as he, no doubt, as you already touched on, had that blinder on Wednesday. And you know, as it stands, we have seen a number of wombo combo comps, and I'm really enjoying the fact that, you know, we are in this engage heavy meta where supports can facilitate that kind of engagement.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of crazy, I guess a lot of different approaches for a lot of teams. Order is one in particular that you see going for those early rotates and going for some crazy ganks. PGG as well, doing a whole lot of team fighting, trying to get those early advantages whenever they can. And obviously don't want to get too caught off. You know, of course, that Skarner pick the other day by Pabu really allowing that initiation and a lot of those team fights to start the engagement.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Pabu does love playing supportive around Marky down there in the bottom lane. Young Praetor, who will be getting the pentakill, of course, in this clip right here, the first one of the LCO split. And, you know, they are a team fighting team for sure. You mentioned Order as well, Mac. Definitely a team that has found most of their success through those team fights also. So when you see these types of teams start to clash, that's where all the action will come about, as nice guy Bio makes sure he gets it.
Certainly does. One thing I'm actually really interested on, Mac, is just kind of touching on what Rusty said, the differences between teams that focus on different areas of the map, how you got these teams that are you know, all about their bot laner or very much top side focused, and when those styles clash and when those sides you know, do mirror one another, how the teams respond to that sort of nature. If they're looking to try and say, all right, we're going to switch things up in particular for this one team, or we're going to run it back as we always do, and we just believe that we know we are the superior team, because we've seen that so far. Some teams looking to ego 2v2, others quite content just waiting for those neutral objectives like the Dragon Baron or Herald to force fights around instead.
Yeah, well, let's see what kind of teams we have going up against one another today. It's time to have a look at the schedule to see what matches are on the menu. So, kicking things off here, top of the table up against Mammoth. Peace and Mammoth going head-to-head to start the festivities at 7 p.m. Order and Pentanet, which is looking
of the day, but we can't say that for certain. I'm actually looking at Chiefs versus Gravitas as something that I'm a little bit more excited for. Chiefs have been a little bit more enigmatic. They're hard to really nail down what they are as a playstyle yet and still developing. Gravitas might be able to sneak a second win in early in the split.
Yeah, I think Gravitas is an interesting roster. We've already seen it so far with multiple variations on what their starting five has been. I think they're still looking to try and figure out what they want to use going into the latter weeks of this competition. But for Chiefs, as you've seen, you know, very aggressive composition, still finding their identity, still finding their strengths. They're a team that, you know, sit middle of the pack so far, but I definitely think they're a dark horse to, you know, get themselves into playoffs. But I think for me, as I kind of mentioned before, that third game to start off with here, Diabol's taking on Legacy, a game at what currently is the bottom of the table. But it is really a showcasing of, you know, these two teams that have had these amazing, amazing early game starts. Which team will buckle under the pressure come mid?
That really is the question, isn't it? And now, Rusty, you were talking about Gravitas earlier, and you really wanted to highlight their draft, because up against the better teams on the ladder, they seem to have these better drafts, but then going up against the lower teams, they seem to just throw in the towel.
Yeah, so there's two big draft examples that I want to actually provide here, and they did happen this week. So the first game from Gravitas is when they were playing against Peace, and when you actually look at these team compositions, I don't want to say Gravitas won the draft, but I think that they picked a composition that is unnatural. It's not very well known by many people, but it was clearly rehearsed, practiced, and prepared by Gravitas, and that did catch Peace off guard, who had to fall back on, you know, Violet 1v9 to try and get that victory. So this is an example of Gravitas coming into the week very clearly prepared and rehearsed and almost finding a huge success and upset. And the other example that I want to provide here, guys, as well, is the opposite end of this spectrum, where instead of being overly prepared, overly rehearsed with their strategies, they seem to have fallen prey to that of their opponents, which was their game against Mammoth here. So looking at the actual draft itself, a Scion top lane who is a tanky champion with a magic damage jungler and mid laner means that the enemy team can just pick a Mundo and legit win the game. Like, you just get jungle gapped even though you've got a scaling jungle champion, and one kill on the Mundo I think is all it really took there, and suddenly Mammoth ran away with the game and they get the victory there. So very different shades of Gravitas so far.
Yeah, so, you know, nice thing to look at. And then going up against, who was it, Chiefs today. It's probably going to be another one where they might come out on top with the draft, but I guess we'll see once we get there, because of course that is going to be our final game of the day. But look, before we get too deep into the final game of the day, we have to start things off. And before we start things off, we want to have a quick look at the key picks. And of course, the key picks today are going to be revolving around mid. So I guess, Skimmy, what are your thoughts in regards to these key picks for the mid player?
Yeah, no surprises for a lot of people at home, I'm sure. Control Major's kind of running the meta so far. You've always had the likes of those AD Flexes and Yone, Yasuo, and so on, looking to try and showcase what they can do. Lucian comes to mind as well. Zoe, another pick that kind of is missed out there. And they are, for the most part, safe, scaling champions that can own the lane. That will definitely give you an impact come team fights. And we've seen it be quite prevalent so far with their ability to, you know, big shockwaves, unleashing powers, and just the Sand Soldiers to sort of, you know, negate any kind of gank attempt that could come mid-wave. So there shouldn't be any surprises here. It's pretty safe, it's pretty standard, and you know, not everybody can get counter picks. So if you need to blind, then you're going to find most of the time they're going to blind these.
Yeah, and the key word there for me was scaling, right? Because you are looking at the Azir, which is a big one that we've started to see since 11.4 came through instead of 11.3. The way that the jungle pool seems to be as well was a lot of magic damage junglers. 11.4 comes around. Suddenly you've got these Skarners and Hekarims as your perhaps primary junglers of choice. So you need the magic damage back in mid lane. You need the scaling back in mid lane as people in top lane are starting to play tanks as well. So these mages, very important. Yone, of course, the unique position of being able to handle mages exceptionally well and can get a lot of pressure from junglers and allows those Lilias, etc., to be seen in the jungle also.
Well, there you go. A nice little insight into why you should play Yone mid, so and ruin everyone's chance of playing control mages. No, but moving forward, we were talking about scaling, and unfortunately, we're going playing for the late game. Some of you guys at home were playing for the very late game. You've got how you're watching from the fans from last week, this week. So thank you for doing that, because at least we can have a quick look at how you guys are watching at home. So let's bring that one up. We've got Sarah here, who is watching on a laptop with a glass of wine, looking like she's having a great time.
That does look like the life. Surely bathtub nearby there as well, ready to go.
Not a bad way to spend your evening, to be quite honest. You know, wine, book. I wonder which they spent more time you know, reading. Was it Harry Potter or was it the LCO? I mean, those are two bangers. Content Kingdom. I'm not going to lie there. I had to zoom in, get me old spectacles out to try and see what that that title was. I saw J.K. Rowling and I just knew it was all over from there. It had to be a Harry Potter angle. So, look, I don't know. I don't know which one you prefer, Harry Potter or League.
Or wine, of course. That is the third distraction
there. That's a hobby.
Let's see what the second one is. We have Liam Spicy James watching on, is that a TV?
Yeah.
The TV. What year is this? First question. And of course, it is 2021 for anyone waiting for the answer. That wasn't a quiz. That was just, you know, a little bit of BM. But week 2, let's go. So he's watching that and everyone's having a good time. And that's it for you late game players of how you're watching the show. We do have the memes, of course, which was the topic for this week. So let's see what we have waiting, lock and loaded in the barrel. And it is Pabu's face stuck on MJ.
That's all I've seen in Twitch chat the last few days, hey Rusty. It's all I see whenever those photos come cycling through. So, hey, that's a banger if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Twitch chat got a hold of this one. I think Maximize might have got a hold of Twitch chat to come up with the ideas for this. So he can give the special credit to the chat for that one.
Absolutely golden. So good job, Maximize, for making that one work. I think there was a GIF there as well if you want to go have a look of Pabu doing the moonwalk. So go find that if you're interested.
Simon Pavone.
And, you know, of course, if you want to make some more content and get on the stream with memes and your trash talk before the end of the day, because, of course, we're going to be changing topics into next week, at LCO on Twitter is probably the fastest way to do it. You could try it on Facebook. I don't know if we're going to have eyes there. I'll have eyes there. I'll make sure that we're getting your memes off Facebook. But you know what happens. Memes sort of die on Facebook, so I'd keep it to Twitter for now. And then some hashtags as well, also another easy way to find it. So, you know, thank you very much for sending those in. And hopefully we can have some more towards the end of the night. But it is time to talk about match number 1 of the day. And, of course, that is going to be Peace and Mammoth. All right, Skimmy, let's talk Peace. Who are we looking at? Why are we looking at them? And why are they so good?
I mean, you have to straight away look at the starting roster and go, hang on a minute, there's no Lisa. There's a new jungler. It's a new face. It's going to be Kevy here. And, you know, not a bad game for him to get a bit of stage time, get himself ready and rocking with this roster. Also, we're not too sure how much time he said to spend with the team to get himself prepared for this one, but not a bad introduction to this game. That aside, you look at the rest of the team, Violet has to be the hot number so far. He's had a lot of really standout performances. And even himself has said, look, you know, I'm not playing to the best of my ability. So if that's not the best of his ability, then I'm really curious to see what the rest of this team can do, because so far they really have justified the hype around them, the position they find themselves in, and just the cohesion to be aggressive from start to finish and have moments where you might think, hang on a minute, this looks a little bit dangerous, but always have that controlling element about them.
Yeah, dude, look, the fact that he's so hard on himself when he is honestly playing so well does speak to the player that is Violet and the levels that he wants to achieve through the season as it progresses. But definitely has been putting a lot of the team on his back so far, as there's been some very shaky play through the rest of that roster. With Kevy coming in, I am excited to see exactly how that changes, with Lisa being a storied player within Oceania.
I guess, look, there is the competition that we're playing, which is the LCO, but there's also the competition of, you know, Praedyth going up against Violet and who's going to come out on top with the most kills. And I would say, if anything, this is probably Violet's best chance to try to take the kill lead, because Praedyth sitting up top with 17 kills. Violet, I think, was on 13 for his best game, 13-1. So if he can maybe go ham today, there's a chance that he could take that lead back.
You know, I would be looking at Tuesday next week. I think Mac is the day to do that, because game one, Peace do play Pentanet. So maybe you just try and save that revenge for when you're against him.
All right. Well, hopefully that is going to be the best match we've seen so far. But there's been some pretty good ones, so it's going to be hard to top that. But now let's talk Mammoth. Let's talk the Tusks Up, I believe is the hashtag they like to use. And what's going on over here? Because Wei the other day played so damn well to close things out. Rusty, you want to run us through this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the most hectic backdoors, the XPKs that you've seen from someone in modern League of Legends, but respect the neck up there in top lane, Nectar. Jungle Man 29, as I believe it stands for, and I'm going to say that more than JGM, just for everyone at home. That's Jungle Man. Wei, of course, the mid laner that we've just mentioned, Shifrit in AD carry, and Kanade? Both of those? Kennedy as well.
Now you're just going to try and troll him. This guy's going to be watching his VOD back and he's going to feel so griefed.
Kanade, the support for Mammoth, a new player who's going to be coming in here with Jungle Man. It's two players we haven't seen from Mammoth at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a debut for these two players, at least as far as the LCO goes. And this is interesting for me because Shinky, who was the support player for the first few games so far here, he and both Kanade actually played on Chiefs Academy in the OCS last year, so they're already familiar with one another. They subbed in and out last year as well, with Kanade playing the majority of those games. So interesting to see them sticking together as a band in the same role nonetheless, and coming into a premium organization like this to sort of showcase what they can do. And as far as jungle's concerned, obviously we can see that Buggy's not afraid to bust out things like the Mundo and be cool, calm, creative when need be. So I'm really keen to see what Jungle Man's identity is as well.
Yeah, I mean, speaking simply, it was the Mundo that kind of won the game, right, through that draft. So it has to be a different identity here, and it does make you wonder what he'll play against someone who you would originally think is Pabu, or sorry, not Pabu, Lisa, right? Like, you know that that's a Lee Sin player. Suddenly it's Kevy, so even more confusion in the jungle role.
Yeah, it's going to certainly change the dynamic between everything, I guess. But look, we do have to bring in our lovely Nats towards the sidelines. Not just yet, but after this video. So we're going to have a look at this Mammoth video first. Smooth. And, hashtag Tusks Up and all that.
I think this team's lineup is pretty stacked overall. They're all really individually good players.
So this team is quite scary on paper. At their best, they're very, very strong. But I think at our best, we can take them down. I'm bursting Lisa in the jungle. I think he's a really strong player, and hopefully I can show up on the day.
They're just a good team overall, so we're going to have to really be focused this game to win.
There you go. Nice little bit of insight into Mammoth and their ways. So I guess off the back of that, are we expecting, like, what would be a small victory for Mammoth today unless they cause the biggest upset here and actually take the win over Peace?
35 minutes? I feel like that's a point of victory for me. Not And like, there's a couple of ways to look at it if you're Mammoth, right? You heard the amount of respect that they were just giving Peace in that interview. Like, they definitely don't sound confident like they're going to come in this and smash it. So I think showing up to play is legitimately a win. And then, of course, you can go above and beyond that and excel, but that's what you want to start with.
I think there's two angles, Mac, for me that really stand out in this matchup. We've already seen that a lot of teams have put their focus and priority towards targeting Halo on the side of Peace in the mid lane. And with Wade being, you know, the standout player for me on this roster of Mammoth, I'd love to see him find a matchup where he can look to try and showcase what he's all about. Even if it is a little bit more solo QE, where he is trying to, you know, win that matchup and maybe not facilitate the team as a whole. I think that would be one big win. But also in the bot lane, that's going to be a big ask right now, because if you're looking at the comparison between Scheifert and Violet, you know, Violet right now, double the damage per minute, double the CS per minute, majority of the gold, about 30% of his team's gold. The guy is a monster, so he's been pretty vocal, right, in every single interview we've had with Nat that, you know, I'm going to perform this way, I'm going to perform that, I'm not at my certain level. If that's, once again, if that's not at his level, that, you know, I'd love to see what Scheifert could do to try and even those odds out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Nat, because we're about to bring her back in and jump into the player interviews. Nat T, down on the sidelines yet again. How are you doing this fine Friday?
Very good. I mean, I feel a little bit baited. You almost called me back in when I wasn't ready.
Sorry,
but I'm feeling good.
That's all right. Well, some things happen sometimes. Now, who do you have down on the sidelines for the pregame?
I do have Appy from Peace and Nectar from Mammoth with me. Hello, guys. Nectar, I'm gonna ask you first. You know, it's your first week of 3 games, so how are you guys managing the energy levels and how you feeling playing on your first Friday?
Well, I think the win from Gravitas the other day is definitely giving us a lot of momentum, and hopefully we can use it for today's game, because today's definitely going to be a rough one.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I also noticed... Sorry, no, you keep going.
It's alright. I didn't have much to say.
I was just going to say, I did notice that, you know, this is your first time really playing in competitive league. So, you know, you've rounded out 2 weeks almost now. How are you feeling and how has it been treating you?
Definitely nerve-wracking. I think, you know, it's a bit hard when you start off. You got to build up your reputation. And hopefully I can do that today. Maybe get an upset win against Peace.
Yeah, who knows? There's always that potential. Appy, for you, I have to ask how you guys feeling with it being the third game this week.
To be honest, I feel like this week is like harder than we all expect. I remember against Legacy and Gravitas, we didn't play as clean as we should. So, and also there's some like weird drafts. So pretty much we still need to like trade this game as very like serious and try hard to win. So we can get hopefully we can get a clean win this game.
That does lead me to my next question then. You guys are subbing in Kevy. We almost thought that maybe it might have been a chance for you guys to test out some new strategies or team comps. Is that something that's going to happen, or tell me more a little bit about the subbing?
Right. Yeah, well, like Kevy is pretty much like similar. I don't know, like pretty much similar like playstyle as Lisa, but like still some difference. Like you can have like better communication sometimes, but like so I think we play like he's fit the team pretty well so far. So yeah, I think it's not gonna be any like issue playing him.
Great, we'll be looking forward to that one. The last question I want to ask you, Nectar, is about your substitutions coming in as well over in your team. Can you just tell me a little bit more in general about it?
I think it's definitely to bring some new energy to the team and maybe try to catch Peace off their guard, because they probably would have been preparing against the other roster. So maybe we can get a slight edge for this game. The roster changes.
That's awesome. It's so good to hear that both of you guys are ready to change it up and bring some new stuff already to the league only in week 2. But good luck with the game, and I'll see one of you guys on the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. A nice little insight into the
Yeah.
roster swaps as well. So that's certainly something to think about. Good to hear that Kevy's got better comms than Lisa. So I wonder if that's going to change
You know what's
how much better.
interesting, Mac? What's
Peace
really
play.
interesting to me is I'm looking at that camera right there on our and I'm looking in the background. I'm seeing that Violet's got a few order bags just chilling around there, a few
hungry.
takeaways. I want to know what he's eating. What's his diet? How is he built so differently?
You don't wanna
How is
know
he getting
that.
this job done?
You don't
You
want to know.
don't
his
want to
diet.
know.
I
You
don't?
reckon?
Okay.
Gamer diets, man. You don't want to know gamer diets.
Hey, if that's
Must
a
be
dying
something.
question that you need to know, Skimmy, if they win this game, I will try and ask him that one in the post.
Hey, asking
Just
the real
for you.
questions, Nat. That's what we need. Thank you.
Yeah, what's your go-to pre-game meal? And look, something that we go to every pre-game is the prediction. So let's have a look at where we've headed in this week. All of us seem to go with Peace. I don't know if anyone has been ambitious enough to lean into Mammoth. I know Nat did the other day up against Gravitas, and she was definitely rewarded, but we've all gone Peace. We've gone the clean sweep, and it's just, at this point, look, I could say, hey, devil's advocate and try to go for Mammoth to get back into it, which, look, I'm at least on double digits now, 10 and 6. I feel like I'm on the way back in.
You've picked a couple of weird ones today, though, Mac, I will say, once we get into the later games. So I'm not sure that'll last long, bud. Sorry.
Look,
Well,
Mac, I think it's pretty hard to overlook. On a serious note, for 2 seconds, it's pretty hard to overlook the sort of the gap between these two teams when you compare them pound for pound. So I think you would bet your bottom dollar that Peace should take this victory out. But I'd really be excited to see the small victories that we highlighted before from Mammoth as to the growth they continue to bring. Right, you bring in that roster change. As Nectar mentioned, maybe that does cause a few upsets, a few surprises again, as we've seen Gravitas already done to Peace. So. Small victories is what I'm hoping for, but I think this should be a Peace win.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
all
look, as well-
aligned on that one.
Sorry, Mac. Every time everyone on the talent lineup has gone for the same team, I'm pretty sure they've won as well, it feels. So
Yeah, I think we're all pretty good on that front, knowing the differences between one team and the other. But look, Nat, I'm going to send you back down to the sidelines so you can get right up close to the game. Tell us what the weather's like down on the Nexus, and we'll see you after.
awesome, thank you.
Well, there you go. So, it is time to delve towards the game. And let's have a quick chat about Champ Select. Do you think we're going to see anything questionable coming out from Peace, knowing that they have got such a strong advantage in terms of at least the mindset and the mental going into this game?
I don't think so. The way that I would approach this if I was Peace is, like, one, you've already subbed your jungler out, so that is the point of difference for me. So when it comes to draft and play strategy, I would imagine it's more of a priority to integrate Kevy properly than it is to play something weird while integrating Kevy and having a situation where you're doing too many things at once and suddenly at risk of perhaps losing to Mammoth. I think, honestly, maybe a similar thing for Mammoth here as well, Mac, where it might just be play stuff that you're good at. And the advantage they have is we don't necessarily know all of the things that they're good at because they are new players.
Well, look, a good way to assess what you are and you aren't good at is to head on over to Esports Assessment Labs and do a couple of tests over there, check your reaction time, check your perception, check hopefully your vital signs as well. No, I don't think that's a test, but have a quick check and see if you are superior or inferior genetically, and you can keep going back to see if your genetics are getting better over time, or at least your reaction time is, etc. And we'll see where you go with that one. But head on over to Esports Assessment Labs and I guess test yourself. I know Rusty's gone over there and we found out he's a genetic monster.
It's just so funny to be like, I can't wait to find out how inferior I am to these pros. just roast me.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
it's a good way to go.
I'm not keen to try it out because I just know that it will tell me what I already know, that my heart's stuck, so we don't want to find that one out. We can quickly skip that little test there, Mac. Maybe I'll do it another time when I'm feeling a little bit like a pick-me-up.
That's probably a good little content idea. Write that one down, get everyone to do that and figure out who has the best reaction time, etc. on stream, and exactly why Rusty was the professional out of all of us here. Oh, I guess Jubes could stand up to it, but as he said, he's an old dog now, so who knows how he would go.
It'd be the battle of the
those
retirement
tests.
village, wouldn't it? If it was myself versus Jubes at this point, it's who's managed to retain the most. It's not who has the most.
Well, at the moment, it's time for me to leave. And it's time for you two to take us into Champ Select. So first game of the day, boys, hype this thing up. It is going to be Mammoth taking on Peace. Is there an upset on the cards? Who knows? Probably not. But look, let's hope that there is.
There you have it. It's your Friday action. And we're going to kick it off with the very first game. Ooh, there we have it. Graphics going all over the show. But nonetheless, it is Mammoth taking on Peace as we get to find out what is actually going to happen. No surprises there. Kaiser removed the best champion so far we've seen in the AD carry pool. And one of the big reasons why the likes of Predator and Violet have found such insanely strong multi-kills.
One thing we can say for certain is, Skimmy, as well, is that Mr. Jungleman does seem to like the Udyr, so that one's going to be taken away as a first ban before anything else on the side of Peace. Now, Peace choosing, I believe, the red side for this game as well, looking towards that counter pick. One thing that we do know for this team is that they don't like the counter pick for their jungle role, Skimmy. They do seem to prefer that for other roles, so very curious to see how Kevy slots into this draft strategy here. And I would say that already with the jungler being prioritized as a ban, maybe a top 3 jungle choice here is a natural way.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring it up, right? Because we had that look before about how Violet is always guaranteed the counter matchup, whereas Lisa, 0% of the time, has ever had it. He's always left to the sidelines to say, you know, you'll pick what we give you, you'll carry, and you'll do your job. So Kevy now will be thrown into the deep end here, saying this is the identity we've already formed from the first 4 games. And that's curious because, right, you bring up the point of, you know, you bring in somebody new, how do you integrate them into the team? Do you sort of look to try and say, hey, you are playing the same mold that we've already formed, or hey, we're going to look to try and change things a little bit around here to give you the best effort. But speaking as to first picks, Mammoth will turn their attention to the bot lane and lock in Rel.
Rel, of course, widely being received as maybe the best support right now. However, there is consistently more and more options being found to verse it. One of those being Alistar that we've been seeing a lot through a lot of leagues internationally. Thresh is the obvious choice, but that was, of course, in the ban list here by Mammoth. So again, they strategize that they're going to pick themselves the Rel up. But I wouldn't be surprised to see an Alistar, though, of course, where there is Xayah, there must be Rakan. So that might be what we get here.
Yeah, no surprise there. They're going to lock it in blind. They're feeling very confident about this one. And why wouldn't you at this stage, given the fact that both of these players have been popping off? Aladoric as well had a blinder, an absolute beauty against Direwolves on day number 1, playing the Rakan, making some huge, huge plays there with the dash and the charm to get things started. Now, Mammoth are going to just guarantee that, hey, this is what our bot lanes look like. They're going to go for the Sivir here. Nice little scaling matchup, but one that we've talked at great lengths, having the magical number of 500.
Yeah, the 500 CS Sivir win condition. Now, I will just quickly elaborate on the fact that I don't think Alistar hard counters Rel. I think he actually just gets through the laning phase perfectly fine. He's only good pre-6. But the Rakan being locked and the Sivir responding to that Rakan. Now, you could look at Sivir and say, fantastic choice because of the spell shield, but the way Rakan works is having, 2 forms of layered CC back to back. If you spell shield the ult from Rakan, you still get the knock-up. It's very hard to actually spell shield and survive those types of engages regardless of having that ability available. So Sivir to me is actually quite an awkward pick here. Xayah Rakan strong, Rel Sivir. I think the idea is release the Rel on the map, have a safe champion in the Sivir that just tries not to die.
Certainly is, and actually now jumping into the next set of bans. Camille being locked in here from the side of Mammoth, that forces Peace's hand. They instantly ban away Galio because the combination between both of their kits is just far too strong with that layered CC that you're already highlighting. Jungle, no doubt, is going to be the Graves, a nice, solid, strong jungler. That will have a fair bit of tempo, and the Volibear ban showing respect here to Appy, who has shown that he can play in the top lane and has the fancy feet.
Yeah, I mean, Appy getting a respect ban on the Volibear is definitely curious. Of course, might just be a preferred matchup here that Appy does like into that Camille. Now, of course, with the Galio ban is going to be a Fiddlesticks taken away. It's not, again, conventional by any means. Mammoth could probably play it, however. And with a Camille, with a Rel, you're looking at a team fighting composition already. So they get rid of one of the most, I would say, prolific team fighting junglers when it comes to damage output that you can then add to the rest of your team. They've got the tankiness, they've got the engage, they've definitely got lockdown. They've got a Sivir ultimate for Fiddles as well, so it's not that bad of a ban if it's something that Mammoth actively play.
It's going to be interesting to see what Mammoth do decide to go with on their angle, because they've gone for this Camille very early on. They've put 3 bans towards it. You'd have to imagine with the Mordekaiser coming in now to make Nectar's life as easy as possible going into that one to try and find a source of strength. We talked at great lengths really where these lanes would be targeted. Obviously bot lane is the big focus right now and the big strength that we've seen come out here from Peace, but Now, the fact that Mammoth are showing, look, we're going to find a winning matchup in our top lane. We're going to try and get the best chances there. I'm very curious to see how they look to try and shape up in the mid lane too, because you'd have to imagine that's a mid Lulu.
Yeah, you could do a Twisted Fate, or again, Zoe is an option. I think a Control Mage was the obvious choice here to open up the jungle pool to be whatever you like. Now you know your matchup being the Graves into your champion of choice. You have Engage. You could pick complementary Engage. This is definitely one of those that works with the Camille perfectly. And because you have a Zoe instead of the Twisted Fate, you're going to be doing a bit more of that engaging yourself. So Mammoth pick, I would say a fairly standard front-to-back team fighting style composition. Camille flanks, Rel flanks, Jarvan flanks are possibilities. Fights could be started on a dime with a Sivir ultimate or a Zoe bubble connecting. But basic bare bones type of composition here from Mammoth overall, which again, I like. Because the execution, very simple.
Certainly is very simple, has plenty of pick potential as well. One trouble bubble or one follow-up from the flag and drag ensures that they can find picks, that they can be aggressive. And that's sort of what we need to see from these teams, right? When you're looking at those small victories is not being afraid to make the move, to pull the trigger, to go at a team and sort of cause them carnage. As you can see there, the final pick was Syndra. Halo renowned for this pick, so that Lulu was a flex into the top lane. So a range matchup to go into this Camille to make her priority even weaker than it already can be.
Yeah, the Lulu, I think, was going to be in top lane regardless once the Graves-Lulu combo was looked at. You could have considered putting it mid for sure, but counterpick to top lane. Appy's already publicly kind of said on social media that he doesn't want to play carries, and Jax is the one option that you'd usually look at into Camille, so they'll put the Lulu up there. They'll pick for mid lane. The Syndra being a very low mobility champion, however, here, Skimmy, into the Jarvan does open you up to a whole world of risk from a lot of early to mid-game ganks coming out of the side of Mammoth here. A lot of pressure can definitely be put down onto Halo. So he's going to have to play very good League of Legends around his jungler, which, again, not a mainstay jungler for the team.
And that's the interesting part for me, right? Because we've said in this matchup beforehand that you rush the Merc treads, get yourself as much magic resist as possible, but the tenacity more than anything, given the amount of CC that your opposition possess to try and catch you out of position. So I'm very interested to see how he individually plays that matchup and how he can navigate it, but also his 2v2 comprehension with Kevy here as to how he can look to try and protect it, knowing that that has been a source of aggression targeted towards Peace. On the side of Mammoth, though, we already touched on it. A lot of mobility, a lot of engage, a lot of pick potential. Is this a composition, I mean, with the amount of investment that went towards making, Nectar's Camille pick as easy as possible, I still feel like the Lulu is going to give him a fair bit of trouble. Is this still a matchup that you'd be quite happy to navigate?
I think there's definitely going to be a lot of time where Nectar doesn't have priority in his lane, right? It's definitely one of those champions, Camille, where you want for one full item, 2 full items to start to really come into your own and be a real menace to deal with. So there is a lot of freedom and space that Appy will be able to create through the early game. Kevy, of course, being the Graves, farming incredibly fast, much faster than a Jarvan. If the Jarvan doesn't get ganks off, then Kevy and Appy will be able to work together brilliantly to control the entire top side of the map. I would prefer, I think, if they played through mid to top or mid to sides, where you know that Appy will have priority, and I think it can also be forced from Azaya and Rakan as well. So for Mammoth, while I think it is straightforward for them, Skimmy, to press those R buttons, have those team fights, getting there, to me, might be a different story. Trying to get through the lack of perhaps priority through the early stages of the game.
For sure, and I mean, there's definitely a lot of counter engagement that can be found. We know that obviously the polymorph from Lulu is going to cause problems. We've already seen what Aladora can do on the Rakan to cause problems with locking in place plays, and not to mention Halo as well. I mean, his first game to really kick off his campaign as a starting mid laner here for Peace was that beautiful flash forward stun that really cemented his place that I deserve to be here. Watch this team. So definitely lots of engagement tools and the protection more so than anything, right? If you're looking at a key target that Camille's looking to try and jump onto, the Featherstorm is going to look to try and keep Violet's Zarya nice and protected. So interested to see how the game does navigate. If they get a nice early lead, then there's obviously the ability to continue to, roam, gank, and sort of run the map in your own way and, set yourself up for that 4-1 split, causing carnage on a sieging and flanking base. But given that we've seen Peace be so well constructed, I suppose the big question mark, as we keep returning to, right, has to be, how does Kevy fall into the fold of things?
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. I think, while we're looking at this and we are loading onto the Rift right now, Skibby, I would still say that all of my focus and attention will be going to the mid lane unless something happens to change that fact. I do think that if I was Mammoth, the piece that I would want to try and attack and take off the board would probably be Halo to kick this one off, to get snowballing in a lane, you know, to unlock the map to be in your favor in some capacity, or it may just be insurmountable. And the big thing for me here is, 25-minute average game time for the squad of Mammoth, 35 for Peace. That tells a pretty big story for a 1-3 side here. Have a 25-minute average game time. They lose early and fast.
And they certainly do, and they'll be looking to try and change things around here. But one that can look to give us a little bit of insight on the flip of the coin is the coach here for Peace and Midlul. Welcome. Give us a little bit of insight here, obviously, to the introduction of Kevy. Obviously, you guys have a gaming house, which is proving to, provide a ton of content and excitement for these interviews. But how does that sort of navigate? Is Kevy there in the house right now? Is he playing from home?
Yeah, Kevy has already arrived home.
And is there any difficulties or any challenges in that? The fact that the team may find itself split, or is it business as usual for you guys?
Not now. We didn't find any issues so any second. And we work hard together.
Yeah, sweet as.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I just have one question here, Midlord, regarding the draft as well. It's been seen a lot, the Rel in the support role, which is going to be your opponent in this game. Was there a communication decision here with Aladoric saying that he wants to play the Rakan in this matchup? Was this a choice from you, and if so, why?
It's Aladoric make the choice. He wanna play Xayah and Rakan against them.
And do you know if there's a specific reason for that, or do you think that's just comfortable for a player like Aladoric, who
just comfortable
we do know plays the Rakan? Okay, and I guess because you are playing against Mammoth, who are towards the bottom of the table, do you think comfort is the way to go? Just have the players do what they know best to win.
We have the best. We can win this.
Okay.
Well, there you heard. That's all it is. They are the best. They will win us. Thank you very much, Midlord, for your little interview there. As we get ourselves into this one. And I mean, look, there you go, Rusty. I mean, it's as clear cut. It comes from the top of the ladder all the way down into the players. They're feeling confident. They're playing confident. And I'm really excited to see what actually happens in this game based on what you mentioned already about the average game length.
Yeah, I mean, look good, feel good, play good. Seems that the coach definitely feels good, so doesn't expect anything crazy to happen in this one. Just to catch us up quickly as well here, Skimmy, on what's happened so far. There was a very early red buff late invade done by Peace while we were having that interview. They take the red away from Jungle Man. He's gone for the blue clear, of course, does respect that of his opponents, and is now walking bottom level 3 to get that gank off.
He certainly is looking for the gank right now. All summoners are available, but Violet is in so much trouble right now. He's going to use the heal, but it's just not enough. Holds on to the flash, and Aladoric can get out of harm's way. That's going to be the first blood here going Faye of Mammoth. But attention gets shown topside as the TP comes in a little too late, and Wei can only hope to collect the wave, but not save his fallen teammate.
Yeah, picks up a flash, does collect some of those minions, but not nearly in time to save top lane. It's exactly what we spoke about before as well. That mid lane priority doesn't matter too much if top lane is just completely owning and you show yourself bottom. So suddenly Jungle Man gets that gank off. It's successful. Credit to Mammoth for that. Unfortunately, though, it goes to Kanade, and he's not going to be able to give the gold to a carry. The trade on the other side gives the money to the Graves, and a wave crashes under the turrets, and Nectar very, very behind.
Not the best start here for Camille that is looking to definitely get ahead, and already can find it to be a bit of a rough early game start. But 2 ganks, both junglers involved on either ends of the map, and they will reward themselves not only with a bit of gold from the assists and kills, but also getting a crab to themselves as well. And it's interesting to see how these teams are going to look to try and navigate around the objectives, because as far as their focus have been towards the likes of Heralds and Dragons, being pretty even. It's the other areas like farming and aggression where the biggest differences can be found.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Mammoth for being able to keep up with a team like Peace when it comes to the objective-based control. That's not something that every team's able to do running around in the LCO. So they're keeping up with that. It's the rest that we need to look at, absolutely. And how that actually comes about, I think a ganking jungler is a great way to kick that one off. Just a quick check-in on top lane as well here, Skimmy, while it's on our screens. It may look like Nectar is caught up, but that's a monster wave. It's still definitely a really difficult position in lane. And with these waves, playing the way that they are, they're constantly building and bouncing and crashing. You basically don't get to play League of Legends once this wave bounces back. So Nectar probably wants to spend some time, maybe look for some deep vision. That was a really shallow ward actually placed in the tri-bush. Doesn't give much information at all. In fact, was spotted going there, where he does have a moment of freedom to perhaps get more creative in future.
We'll see what that creativity actually looks like right now, because you can see Jungle Man is sitting mid lane, looking to try and give as much priority as possible here to Wayne. Bot lane is fairly even right now, held in the middle of the wave. JGM's just going to run across that control. We're going to ignore it completely because he just does not seem to care. He says, look, you're the mid laner, you can pick that one up, I'll drop a ward here, and we'll guarantee that first dragon will go our way.
Yeah, I think mid priority is the only thing really securing this one. Looking at bot lane, that did feel fairly even. You can see both laners are at full health, but Shifrit and Kanade just force the wave in. You know, the advantages, of course, of the Sivir. And Peace, as you can see, they'll clear the ward that was clearly seen. Jungle Man needs to not die, but we'll have the smite, thankfully. And Mammoth, you mentioned their objective control being decent and keeping up with Peace. Well, there you go.
There you go. First dragon of the game. Not too bad of an impact to start things off here as you welcome in 2 new roles in the support and the jungle position. Both have had their impact and both have found success so far. As you can see, this is a little bit dirty. This is Appy literally zoning him away from his opponent's tower, proxying the wave and really saying...
Appy.
Wait, Appy, please. Well, there was a compliment there. It was a huge wave, but 2 turret shots negate a lot of what had been built up.
Ultimate disrespect to the neck. Just between towers, just absolutely trying to ruin his life. Tanks too many minions and towers, though. It was so far so good until the 2 tower shots hit him. But looking at the CSD, still well and truly in the driver's seat. There was a moment of potential risk there where, of course, the Zoe was moving from mid up to the top side. We'll most likely be moving up there again as well, just quickly as that blue buff is close to spawning. So a monster moment of freedom here, honestly. Peace down in the 2v2, have so much time to do as they please. No dragon, no real reason to feel afraid, as the Graves is also down there.
It's going to be interesting as this game goes on, if we even do reach the stage where we're looking at 2 to 3 items, depending on what kind of build up he decides to go for, how they're going to look to try and handle that split push. As we've seen in the past, if you are looking to go for a more supportive angle, as the game does go on, it becomes harder and harder. But it keeps boiling down to that magic question, Rusty, about game length. And it hasn't been kind to Mammoth so far, but to start things off in the first 8 minutes, it's a good game. Yes, they're down 2k, but by all accounts, they are playing to their strengths, and that's what we're after.
Yeah, this has been really chill. You know, there has been some moments here and there. Clearly, of course, Wei trying to pressure Halo in mid lane. Mid has had a lot of pressure put onto it, but still ahead in CS. So Halo's still doing perfectly fine. That kind of calmness, I guess, that we're seeing here, I think, I'm not going to say it favors Mammoth, but I'm going to say it gives us an opportunity to explore Mammoth a little bit better, where oftentimes you'll see them go for that first gank and suddenly you look on the other side and it's 4-1, not 1-1. So far so good, as Kevy kicks off that Herald.
Yeah, but Jungle Man wants something to say about that one. It's a 3v2 collapse so far. They're looking to try and start up blue buff, give that to Wei because he's out of mana. That's a crucial thing to bear in mind right now. Nectar's also taking a horrible trade here. Appy full HP. And Nectar can do nothing but say, I need to recall. If need be, I will have to TP back in. But he might not even be given an opportunity right now because the Herald is getting so damn low. It's within smite range. Out goes Kanade looking to try and land a 2-man stun. There's the Sivir. The Featherstorm gets burnt very early on. Or actually, no, it doesn't. I completely juked myself. That's the Feather recall more than anything. And Mammoth, well, not too bad at all. They bully out Peace and 2 from 2 here on the neutrals.
While that does look fantastic, and it could be, bot lane has been free this whole time for Violet. There will be a teleport used down here as well. That looks like the Camille's going to come down and collect some of these minions. Will have a decent amount of time to try and catch up somewhat to that of the Lulu that is way too far ahead of him. But the Herald itself, you know, they don't get a kill with it. It doesn't necessarily mean anything until it's successful. And Violet is definitely someone reaping the rewards in the meanwhile.
Get to see what this means in terms of how they can try and punish the fact that they lost that bot lane trade. EQ goes out, slam dunk, looking to try and do whatever they can onto Kevy. Kevy hits him with the emote and goes, what on earth are you doing? The upgrade there from Lulu is just a buffer to basically add insult to injury, and what could have been a turnaround and a play to match and trades come back to bite.
Yeah, there's only the Sork shoes there for Wei. In terms of the build that Jungle Man has, that is absolutely no attack damage. So they try and execute someone, not going to be able to stop the recall there. They try and one-hit Kevy, but when you've got the Lulu nearby, you're going to have to do a little bit more damage than what they currently do to succeed. And that backfires massively, egg on their face. And suddenly more plates going over to Violet, more CS uncontested going over to the bot lane of Peace. And this is, again, you know, it's starting to build honestly out of control. Already 10 minutes in with only 2 kills.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird game for multiple different reasons right now. Worth noting also, as I've just picked up, is the fact that Scheiffert's running Dark Harvest here on the Sivir, so was opting for a lot of aggressive trades. You'd have to imagine it to pick it up, but interesting to see that as opposed to the Precision Tree.
Do you know why?
I've yet to see why, Rusty.
We'll
Inform
see
me.
if Kevy dies first. He should be fine. It's the Duskblade build, Skibby. It's one of the coolest new builds that I've seen on Sivir. It's a bunch of fun. You get as much cooldown reduction as you possibly can. Ability haste. You can get up to about 50% now, which is exceptional. You go Duskblade with your Boots of Lucidity and you just throw boomerangs. You don't need to interact as Sivir with auto attacks anymore. Who needs the Precision Tree, Skimmy, when you can just do 700 damage with a boomerang instead?
The true Aussie build, the Aussie experience, as they'll be flinging those ones out, as you can see on display right now. Today I learned, and also I learned that right now it's piece up by 3k gold as they collapse and look to try and make their first move here on an objective. That's going to be Violet going to sleep, but the Mammoth collapse is taking place from two different angles. Piece have turned one way, and now Mammoth doing whatever they can to try and join the rest of their fallen allies. The Scheiffer's going to fall on down. They turn their attention back towards that dragon, and we'll even the scales at 1-1.
Yeah, Scheiffer definitely not going to be auto-attacking either way. If he's just going to be instantly killed by the side of Peace, Dragon secured, they do equalize, and that gold difference that you highlighted will have opportunity to continue to expand further and further in the way of Peace. As with that kill, they have time to push in mid, and always, if you look at the minimap, you'll get a snapshot of Nectar trying to catch up. That's the state of the map right now for Mammoth.
Yeah, begging and pleading to get their first completed item right now. As you're starting to see these big CS differences not only found in the top lane, but pretty much across the board right now. As it's at least for the most part between 20 to 30 adding kills. It's insult to injury. Both junglers find themselves top lane. It's a bit of a deja vu moment. That instantly forces out a flash here from Jungle Man. He wants no part of that. And he's just been desperately trying to drop this Herald top side, but both times Kevy says no.
I'm going to respectfully state that I'm getting sick of seeing him start ganks with half HP. I think that of all things, he hasn't bought an item since the last time we checked in on his item choices. I'm not sure that he's done a jungle camp as a result of that. But he keeps showing up to these fights at half HP, and that backfires.
This might backfire as well. There it is, the explosive shot to seal the deal. Everything put towards Nectar. Another kill's found in mid-wave, as we're talking about that one point, but Nectar trying to be given a bit of turret plating gold as there's only a minute left on that before it disappears and sticks around and gets punished.
Yeah, nice little kill there from Mammoth in mid lane. Of course, that's a very unexpected place for them to be. Halo does use the flash and still ultimately goes down in that one. A couple of turret plates available here for the Sivir in mid lane, but overall, you know, it's still Kevy absolutely running away with this game, completely out of control. And the fact that Appy is ahead as much as he is, you know, has completed the first of his 2 support items that he needs to be out of control himself. I mean, that Graves will not be dying, even as the AD carry that he is, will not go down easily at all.
Certainly won't, and you can start to understand why. From a gold aspect, at least, that's what the figures look like so far. Not a bad showing here for Kevin. His first 15 minutes of stage time here for the roster of Peace, up by 2k, and with a bounty to his name. He is living the dream right now. As you already touched on, his mythic item complete, the Immortal Shield Bow, a lot of survivability, and a lot of lifesteal as well. As now we get to see Peace doing what they do best, led by the line here on Aladoric, wanting to force another tower dive and continue to put pressure as they roam from mid to top and back again. They catch out Kanade, they're going to CC layer 1, 2, and 3, and finally the Pixie takes him down.
Yeah, I mean, outstanding stuff here from Peace. Controlling the blue side jungle. Shifrit needs to really show more respect. He could be in trouble.
And he could be, and he may be indeed. That's not going to save you. The spell shield goes out, but it's just a little bit too late. Another casualty of war. It's a triple kill, and it's a double kill for this man on your screen. 5-0-2. Kevy having an absolute blinder here.
Yeah, Wei's been hitting his skill shots, but does not have any health to assist in this one as Halo keeps him at bay also. And this is a massacre, let's be honest. It's 2-7. It's still 6,000 gold difference. Complete domination of the Rift so far in favor of Peace. It's what we all expected coming into this one, but we're seeing it with Kevy in the roster as well. They're playing it out exceptionally well, and so far, very good for the new jungler of Peace.
Nectar can do nothing more than hook shot himself away and pray for a better day as he is still bleeding out. He's done a good job here picking up the CS differences, but quite honestly, It's the kills and the assists and the roaming potential that Appy's put on the map that really means that a CS difference doesn't really equate to much right now, Rusty. It's starting to grow in the kill department, up by 5 now, and it's the gold lead that is steadily being building, now close to 6K.
Well, there was, what, 2,000 gold difference between junglers last we checked. That's only going to grow after all of the kills that we just saw. I mean, look at the difference in items. It's unbelievable. And, like, yes, you are a Jarvan, so you still serve a purpose when it comes to those team fights, but it's not the same Gargoyle Stoneplate rush that you used to see. It's not as relevant as it has been in the past. You know, it's now 2.7 thousand gold difference. That's a full completed 80 carry item. Basically, the difference between these two. And Jungle Man needs to finish that first item, get onto the board, but at this stage, he's too far behind. I think the one thing that they might be able to bank on is a mid-game Zoe. So what I would say by that is completing your first and your most important mythic item and starting to get some outplays. But until such a point, everything's bad for Mammoth.
There might be another spot above her right now, as it's going to be way in trouble. He's got a stopwatch. Is he going to use it? He's actually just going to hold on to it. He burnt his own flash away, gets dived under the turret, first finding pressure from Halo, then from Kevy. And right now, basically, Peace, they run this map. This is their kingdom. This is their jungle. This is their day. Kevy just does not care. Turret diving. He's a mad lad. He doesn't have ultimate, otherwise that would have been another double kill. Finally picks it up. What on earth am I watching right now? He is literally showcasing that, hey, it's not all about Violet. I can do stuff on this roster too.
I mean, the red bird there is going to be able to secure that one. Kevy's challenging smite, of course, being what I mean by the red bird. Kevy's playing out of his mind for sure, but he's got the team support to be able to enable him to do so. And it is just across the board, complete domination. It was turret plate, so it's macro movements from the bot lane of Peace. It's not Violet showing that he needs to have all of the kills, all of the gold in his back pockets to win. This is the type of play from Peace that we want to see from a contender, right? This is not a Peace that's just holding on and just scraping across the line with those victories on Tuesday and Wednesday. This is a Peace that can take it to the best teams in the league on their day. So it's very refreshing and very positive to see this if you're a Peace fan.
Certainly is, showcasing that, you know, you're not disrespecting your opponents. You play the same, you play to win, you play to perform, and you're playing to refine to get yourself in the best state going into these later weeks and for the all-important best-of series come playoffs. But right now, I mean, you already touched on it a number of times. It's a 10k gold lead now for Peace, but it's a brutal jungle difference as you're finding it now 3 levels between the likes of Jungle Man and Kevy.
I mean, it's kind of sad. It is. I feel sad. I want to say respect the neck more, man. It's so fun, but we're not going to get that opportunity much this game. We're going to hit a point soon. I'm not saying it's happened right now, but in a game like this, we're going to hit that point where it's like, what do you talk about besides how good is Peace or how far behind is Mammoth, you know? We're nearing that.
Well, we are nearing that because we're looking at the economy on some of these items. It was Jungle Man sitting on a ton of Ruby Crystals for a fair bit of time. It's Shyfrit now sitting on a number of long swords. They are bleeding gold. They need something to try and equal the power that opposition have right now, but they just don't have it. They're a composition that wants to be aggressive, wants to find picks, wants to bring the pressure to you. And that ship has sailed, unfortunately, Rusty. That ship is long gone.
And while that was a nice steal from Wei, that is still a jungle camp that Jungle Man is not getting. He still hasn't finished his first item. He is so far behind, it isn't funny. And he's not getting any extra gold. Way in trouble up there.
Beautiful stopwatch, but it might not be enough. Aladoric jumps on across. He survives for a little bit of time. A shield comes out clutch there, and that just buys enough time to prevent the burn that would have been done from that ignite. And no harm, no foul. Nobody falls on down. And if they're looking to do whatever they can, as it was a 4v5. And they're buying as much time as possible to try and keep Nectar in this one, who has picked up the Trinity Force, but still needs a ton of time before he can look to try and really bully people out.
There's definitely a couple of different games going on here all at once on the Rift, Skibby. You've got someone trying to go for 100 CS per minute in Violet. We've barely seen him on the same screen as Kevy, who's going for kills everywhere. You've got Kevy and Appy working together, trying to make plays constantly, and then Violet just having the best farming simulator game of his whole life. Just so calm and casually playing the game. Just looking for those red dots everywhere that he could find them. Very pleasant experience if you're the Zaya here.
Yeah, I mean, really at this stage, it's a game that's starting to become a case of who can get the Flame Horizon first.
Dude, he has 250 CS skivvy at 20 minutes.
That's what I mean. It's
That's
major
absurd.
CS caps. It's unbelievable. Kill or no kill, it doesn't seem to matter. You ganked him once and he said, all right, team, it's time for you to pop off. And that is exactly what they're doing here, Rusty. It's a link up once again between support and jungle. They'll find one. They'll continue to harass and bully at Jungle Man. The Feather Storm goes out, and it's going to be Nectar looking for the 1v1. He just can't find it. Wild Growth is too big and too strong to keep these members alive. They'll dive you, they'll shield you, and they'll take you down. That's going to be the Cataclysm to try and buy time and prevent looking as Alador tries to disengage away. But quite honestly, Rusty, at the 21-minute mark, they are looking to try and dive you near your fountain. I think that really paints the picture and summarizes the story of Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was an attempt from the Camille, right? Nectar tries to go on Violet, but there's a Lulu nearby. There's zero chance that that's going to happen. And the probabilities of winning a fight when you were 10,000 gold down at 20 minutes was close to zero anyway. They can't find picks. Everything's too grouped. There's too little of the map left remaining standing for them to even find some agency through vision control. It's just complete disaster and doom here for the side of Mammoth. But the one good thing that I could take away from this is that Jungle Man finally finished an item. He's got something. It's not just components. And that's a win. The way
That is a
this
win.
game has gone, that's a big win.
A chem tank is there. Easier opportunity now to jump into harm's way and hope that you can do something. But, I mean, that is a wishful thought, I have to be honest here, Rusty.
If you want to run it down, you could do it significantly faster.
You can do it quicker now, yeah. 4-level gap separates these junglers. Not only is it going to be hard for you to force those fights and lead the line as a tank, but going to be incredibly hard now to even look at trying to contest and steal away a major objective like this Baron here.
I mean, you have to try, though. They're on the opposite side of the map, so the Baron is just completely gone. But at the same time, you know, they had a semblance of vision control on the blue side quadrant of the map. It seems like they're going to look to play through mid-priority into the Dragon control, but, like, if you were Peace, who cares? You don't have to fight this. You could push mid and win, but they're so far ahead, they probably will just take the skill check and take the fight anyway.
They're going to be quite happy with this one right now, up by 13k gold at Baron. Add a couple of extra k gold to that. To equate the power of the buff, the flank, as Aladoric is once again looking for that major dash, charm, flash, disengage your way into the pit. Fancy feet, hello, juke out the entire roster here of Mammoth. The Dragon gets started, and it would put Peace here on a soul point. But I honestly don't think, Rusty, I don't think this game will go that long. They want to end, they want a final team fight, they want a respawn timer, and they want a GG condition.
Kevy wants to dash that wall as well. He's definitely on the hunt, and he's got the team nearby. That Dragon wasn't necessary. They don't need to do it, but they don't want to let anything go the way of Mammoth. They want a complete shutout. They want to completely stop it as they're going on Kevy.
They certainly are. The 1v2 bait. He goes to sleep right now, but he goes, hang on a minute, rest of your team is there. Flash forward, locks in place 2. Wei gets out of harm's way with a flash. Peace find the first kill. They take out Jungle Man. Out goes the stun, and out goes the trap. As now, we're looking to try and see whatever can happen here. Multiple members bleeding here from the side of Peace, but they just don't fall on down. Too good, too fancy with their mechanics. It was an all-in attempt here from Mammoth. The Dragon, you said it, it wasn't necessary, but they picked it up regardless. 25 minutes, fitting to their average, is what Mammoth are going to fall down to again here. As the first Nexus turret drops, and the second is soon to follow. Pad the KDA, pad the damage per minute, farm them in the fountain, and let the minions take down the Nexus.
The Nexus will inevitably fall. We'll see how long they continue to play with their food here, Peace, because they are just so far ahead. Violet wants to take the skill check with all the Lulu shields. They will be able to get another person down there as well. But the inevitability of this game is that it will end once Peace decide it will.
What a crazy game. The fact that, you know, it could have been so close to start things off with. They picked up a couple of kills, and those were the only kills they picked up there, Rusty. From that moment onwards, Peace said, enough is enough. We're just going to showcase that we aren't a team that just have to win by team fighting. We are a team that can win on multiple fronts. Decision-making, objective control, macro, micro, just the whole calamity of, you know, what makes a front runner, you know, a strong contender. They displayed it on full force here tonight.
It was a Jiffy Diffy, the likes of which you very rarely get to see here, Skimmy. The gap between junglers and gold difference at the end of that was insurmountably large. At the end of the day, you know, I've seen Mammoth lose in 19 minutes, but I haven't seen Mammoth lose in 25 minutes more devastatingly than the 19-minute one. I never thought I would see that coming, but here we are today. What a game.
What a game indeed, and what a game for Mac to help bring us into the life of What do you think there, mate? I mean, we all went for Peace. You said maybe I go for Mammoth. Was there a positive there for you to take away, mate?
Yeah, I guess Violet with the almost 300 CS right at the end of the game. He got up to 298, and I didn't actually get to see if there was the Flame Horizon or not, but that is something. Look, 250 CS at 20 minutes, and he didn't even get to do much. Only at the end he managed to get to jump around in their spawn, just trying to get as many kills as possible. I think he only managed to get 5, so my prediction of this being his game to get as many kills on the board as possible, well, he didn't even get the time to do it because everyone else did the work today.
Yeah, he was looking for the minions instead of the champions. I don't even know if there was a possibility to get 18 in this game at all, you know, the way that Kevy was playing this one out. And, you know, some of it was the doing of Peace. You know, the nice little play on the top side of the map, exactly what their draft called for. Some of it was the doing of Mammoth, who really struggled to find those ins, you know, find those moments where they could look for a pick or a trade or a fight, because anytime they did, instantly backfired.
What's interesting for me is that game really from Kevy felt like he was looking to try and prove a point here. He was just being so aggressive, fitting in the narrative, fitting the form of what this team have already showcased us, and doing it to a degree that you just don't tend to see. You already mentioned it before, Rusty, about the fact that, you know, 19 minutes in, that was a shellacking. This one here, I mean, the highlight reel is pretty much a montage for Kevy. Day one, welcome to the LCO. Here's the step up, here's the showcase, and here's the ability to pop off and alleviate some of the stress that these other members have found themselves in.
Yeah, it's just crazy how the game initially, I think it's for the first like 7 minutes, the objective control coming in from Mammoth was so strong, and I was like, oh, okay, look, here's some hope, here's some hope. But then when they went for the objectives, of course, that left everyone else open to farm. I think Violet got like 3 or 4 plates by the time they managed to get the Herald and the first dragon, and it was just sad because we wanted Mammoth to do much better. As you mentioned, you know, you gave them, you know, if 35 minutes was kind of the goal there, and unfortunately they couldn't make it that far because the snowball started to roll and Peace came coming.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it is something that Mammoth, like, this is one of those games that you want to VOD review it and say, where did it go wrong? And then, to be completely honest, you'll probably look at it and say, where do we start? Like, I don't actually think I would want to watch and review this game for the feedback because it just kind of collapsed. I would rather focus on what's next, because that was just a complete domination. That
was certainly something, wasn't it? What else did I have here? It was, you mentioned it as well on the cast, Jungle Man going into fights half HP, not resetting, not using the gold, which he may or may not have had because he didn't get a chance to clear those camps. And I want to know, how important is that as the jungler to just have full HP when you initiate those fights?
I think that, like, it may be not spoken about enough, but health in competitive League of Legends is probably, I mean, this sounds stupid actually, but it's probably the most important stat. But what I actually mean is that the higher your health bar looks, the more intimidating you are as a champion, as a team.
Right.
If you're stronger than your opponents, you're ahead by 10,000 gold, but you're all walking around at half health, you're giving your opponents a chance. Where if you're walking into gank as a Jarvan at full HP, my thought as the person being ganked isn't, oh, free kill. It's, I don't know if I can. Let's try, right? It's a very different scenario that plays into your mind, which is what I mean when I say health is important with the... it is.
Yeah,
I think it felt like a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, Mac. I feel like they were... it sort of got to a point where they were so fixated on the fact that Nectar had been as bullied as he had, that I need to do something. He ran it twice. He ran it top. He kept going over and over again to try and, alleviate that pressure, to try and dig him out of that hole, but found himself falling into that hole as well. And as we touched on in the cast, it was a situation where he wasn't even picking up his first completed item until a couple of minutes before the game ended. So it was I'm sure a disappointing game for him, but a brutal VOD review session if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, and I feel like that turbo chem tank as well is so much more useful earlier in the game rather than the point that he got it. But we have Kevy down on the sidelines with Nat T to have a quick chat. So Nat, how did you like that game?
Oh, look, as someone who knows that Peace was going to do well, but in my heart really wanted Mammoth to at least, put up a little bit more of a fight. It was tough to watch.
Very good, very good. So what's Kevy up to? You want to go see?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly who I have with me. Kevy, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on your first personal win, but the team's 5th win. How does it feel for you?
Thank you. It feels good. I mean, obviously I expected to win this game because I have like the best laners in this server. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to walk me through the game a little bit from your point of view?
I mean, I don't really know. Like, we just had a really good comp. You know, Appy was really confident in Lulu top. That's why I picked Graves, because
yeah,
he wanted to pick Lulu into Camille. And yeah, I mean, I knew if I would just play normally, we would just win, right? That's
okay,
all.
so then how was the communication for you guys? Like, you know, were you communicating really clearly? Were you doing the shot calling? Were you kind of just listening? How did that play out for you guys?
I would say everyone talks. Appy and Aladoric are both quite vocal, and yeah, mainly Appy, Aladoric, and me were all talking.
Awesome. Well, it was an amazing showing from you for your first game, so congratulations again. And
Thank
you know,
you.
maybe we'll see you in another game to come.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Kevy on the money. And very good on the Graves as well, which I thought was a kind of an odd pick when I saw it there, but he said it has some good synergy with the Lulu. So, Rusty, did you want to tell me why that is?
Yeah, I mean, it's when someone plays a Lulu top lane or mid lane, they're a super supportive champion that doesn't do a lot besides give lane control, right? So you tend to pick champions that will work with the Lulu in a 2v2 to win the game. Lulu being a support, you pick a carry. So the natural progression there is that you'll pick like a Graves or a Kindred usually, maybe a Hecarim, you know, something that just does a boatload of damage to compensate. So if Appy wants to play Lulu, you just say, fantastic, I'll pick Graves, and that makes me look good because I get all the kills. So like, thank you, Appy.
Oh, there you go. So nice little insight from Kevy. So thank you very much for that interview again, Nat. And I guess we'll check in with you for the next pregame.
Of course.
Goodbye. Bye, Nat. See you soon.
Bye.
See you soon. Farewell. Anyway, that brings us one step closer to the next game. But to get there, boys, it's time for a break. So go get hydrated. We'll see you shortly.
In terms of how
They
to
might
try
want
and
this.
punish the fact that they lost that bot lane trade. EQ goes slam dunk. Look, they're trying to...
I mean, outstanding stuff here from Peace. Controlling the blue side jungle. Shifrit needs to really show more respect. He could be in trouble.
Could be, and he may be indeed. That's not going to save you. The spell shield goes out, but it's a little bit too late. Another casualty of war. It's a triple kill, and it's a double kill for this man on your screen. 5-0-2. Kevy having an absolute blinder here. It's their kingdom. This is their jungle. This is their day. Kevy just does not care. Turret diving.